Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. For those that are watching on YouTube, you looking at a familiar face. She's been on the podcast before. And you know, any guest that's been on the pod here is family and can hop on anytime again. Emma Broermann in the building. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good here in Croatia. We're having a good season and everything. So I just got back from Christmas and ready for the second part of our season.
Now, if y'all didn't catch that, she's in Croatia. She's a professional basketball player. We had her on when she was in college. She talked about it on that episode as a goal, as a desire to go play professional, and she made it happen. So we got her on. We're going to talk about this rookie season, how it's been going, traveling, all that good stuff. Before we get into it, though, hit that subscribe button, like, share, tell any and everybody. How does it feel to actually accomplish that goal? We talked about it, and now you're a professional, getting paid to do the thing you love.
hmm it feels amazing. I have set goals for myself countless amount of times from high school, making varsity to being a Division 1 athlete and then figuring out, hey, this is my next goal. Like I want to go play pro. So it's an amazing feeling just to be doing something I love, but also like it's my job. Like I get paid for this. So it's a really good feeling that I just can continue to play, but also impact those around me and everyone from my town, because I went back for Christmas and went back to my high school to work out with my high school coach because he's like family to me and has taught me so much. And I went back to practice with them and they had so many questions. They were like, wow, like you're amazing and all this stuff. So not only is it for me, but it's also to show people from my town that hey, you can go do whatever you set your mind to, as long as you work at it and, make goals and work to achieve them.
That's always the best part of even just playing collegiate basketball, even just doing well in high school, to be able to go back and give
Yeah.
back and help out and feel the love that you feel from the places that you grew up at. And for you, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel with now going back home, you could have felt this way before this, but do you feel like you're kind of a role model now that you have that in the back or the front of your head? Like, hey, there's some people back at home that's looking up to me.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I even felt that in college because my high school coach's daughter, he has told me countless times you're her role model, like she looks up to you so much. And she would watch every single college game I played in. She's watched multiple games that I've played here in Croatia, and she's a senior in high school now. So and she plays basketball, so it makes me feel very good inside, but also it's for a bigger purpose. And also, I have a little cousin who I think she's 10 or 11, and she just started playing basketball a few years ago, and she's really starting to get into it now. So of course, she watches the WNBA, she watches Caitlin Clark. And when I went home for Christmas, she was telling me about how she watched my games and she wanted to get in the gym with me and work out with me and stuff. And it's just such an amazing feeling to know that people are looking up to you, because when I was younger, I looked up to the girls that played basketball at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and I got to train with them. So it's kind of I'm giving back in the same way that I was given, and it's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Shout out to you though, because there's a lot of cases where that's not the actual situation. Players don't embrace it like that. Famously,
Right.
Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model." So it's not everybody that takes that mindset that you take, which I think is dope and it's important. It's the saying of teach one, reach one, something of that of that vein. That's exactly what you're doing. So shout out to you for that.
Yeah.
You're overseas, right? For those that's watching and listening, what was that actual process of Did an agent come up to you? Did you find an agent? And then what was the process to actually then choosing a team?
Yeah, so I a lot of them use social media. So they're always looking for people who wanna come over. So they're constantly watching stats. They're watching, just things that your team posts too. But also another way to get into it is tell your college coaches. A lot of the times they have connections with agents. And I have had a lot of former teammates play overseas, and they always told me like, "Hey, if it's something you wanna do, like, let me know and I can get you in contact with agents." So I kinda took all of those routes. I had meetings with a lot of agents and agencies, um, and I know after talking with former teammates that I had some, like, really big agencies who wanted to represent me, but I also had some smaller agents who it was just, like, 2 of them working, and my one former teammate called them boutique agencies because 'cause
Mm.
they're a lot smaller. So one of the things I was really looking for was a smaller agency just because I wanted to be a name and a person instead of a number in their system, instead of just someone that they're trying to be put with a team. So I talked to a lot of different people from all over the world. So that was pretty cool. But I narrowed it down to 2, and I asked them if they would be okay with, like, talking with my parents because I really value what my parents have to say, and, like, just everything they have so much wisdom, and, my mom is really good with people and, like, kind of reading people that like, things I might overlook.
Mhm.
Um, so she met with, like, my top 2, and so did my dad, and we talked about it, and I signed with this agency, a smaller agency, but they've been so good to me, and, I get checked up on once a month, and if I need anything, like, he answers within minutes. So it's been really good, but they come from everywhere really, and you kind of have to make sure that it's a legit agency, so do your research before, you set up that talk with them because some are just it's gonna sound weird, but some are just, like, spam, like, they're not really real agencies. Because I got a lot of, like, DMs on Instagram like wanting to talk, but I always did my research beforehand to make sure that it was a legit agency because some of them can be, scams. So,
So for our listeners and our viewers that may be trying to pursue that route, or may never know that route, how do you determine though which ones are legit? Like, is there a certain thing, a certain look? Is it something on the website? What exactly for you lets you know, like, all right, that's a legit company?
yeah, so I would always go to their page and they usually have a website. So I would go to the website and they always have a list of players they currently represent. So I would, like, look through there, and I also, like, don't be afraid to, like, message people because I would go and ask, like, my former teammates, like, "Hey, have you heard of this agency?" And if they said no, I would always go and find, like, one of their current players they're representing and ask questions just to, like, get more insight into how the agency works and how it's been for them. And it's usually I try to find the American players since, it should be similar for me coming from America. Um, so yeah, don't be afraid to like find people and like DM them and ask questions. And I never got like a bad response. Like everyone that I messaged was like, "Oh my god, like I'd love to tell you about the agency. Like, this is what they've done for me. Like this was the whole process." So don't be afraid to reach out to other people, but also like check to make sure they have a lot of information on their website as well. And if they don't have a website, I would probably steer clear because for me, that was pretty much like the telltale sign, like, hey, this is legit. Like, it's probably, a good agency. So,
Shout out to you though, because a lot of that is obviously, I'm pretty sure you did your research before going overseas and before becoming a professional. What you're doing, a lot of people fall into that mistake, especially the smarts. Like you say, your parents have wisdom, but it's also wisdom that you actually involve them in the process to
Yeah.
help. So everything you're doing on the business side, you're setting yourself up for a
Mhm.
very long career, which is
Yeah.
really smart. A lot of people don't think about that aspect. Like you said earlier,
Mhm.
it's a job now. So
Yeah.
just like any other job, you want to make sure, is this legit? Do they have coverage? Do they have
Right.
insurance? Do they pay on time? All
Mhm.
these different type of situations that you would normally think about at a 9 to 5. Can't
Right.
just let, oh
Right.
yeah, I love basketball so much. That's not,
Right.
unfortunately,
It's a business decision now, so
exactly a business decision. Exactly. Now, you
Mhm.
mentioned, we talked about a little bit before the show, and our listeners don't get that information. But
Yeah.
how is it though, living in Croatia? How has that been coming from the US? What's like the biggest difference? How are you liking it? Croatia.
Yeah, so it was, for me, a pretty hard adjustment, I would say, not in terms of, like, living, but, like, being away from my family, because, of course, I went to school in Florida, and I'm from Ohio, so that was a big jump, but, like, coming over here was, like, I'm experiencing a new language, I'm experiencing a new lifestyle, new food, new travel, just new everything. So, I would always call my mom at like 3 in the morning and she would answer, God love her, she would answer every single phone call. Um, but I think like the biggest difference for me has been the language. I'm in a pretty small town. So it's not very touristy. And a lot of the people here, they don't speak English. It is, like, kind of an older population, but a lot of the younger people do speak English, but you have to be like, "Hey, do you speak English?" Because they're not, like they don't have to use it all the time, but they do learn it in schools. Um, but the other, like, big difference for me was just, like, the lifestyle change. Because in America, it's so, like, go, 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 it's such, like, a fast-paced lifestyle, and here it's, like, everybody's, like, laid back, like, "Hey, let's go get coffee," it's so, like it's so different, and, like, it's weird to me that, like, everything on Sunday is closed, like, it's a ghost town on Sundays, like, no one's out, everything's closed, cafes are closed, grocery stores, so, like, that has been, like, the biggest thing for me, like, trying to find hobbies to do because of it being such a small town and, like, a laid back lifestyle. There's, like, not a lot going on, like, as if I were to be in a big city and, the hustle and bustle of big cities is kinda the same everywhere. So, that's been, like, the biggest thing for me because I'm, like, a go, go, go person, like, I like to have my day planned out, I like to be out of the house, I like to have things to do. So, like, here when I came, it's like, okay, shooting practice in the morning, and then I'll go to lunch with my teammates, and then, like, we have all afternoon, and then we don't have practice until, like, 6 or 7. So, for me, it was so hard because I'm like, "Okay, what am I supposed to do now?" Because like, I
Mm.
can't like, in Jacksonville, I would just go to the beach, But, like, here, like, I can't go to the beach, so I try to, like, fill my time with, like, reading some books. I brought some books over, and when I went back home for Christmas, I brought some more, and so I've been trying to read more. Um, I have like, an adult coloring book that I color, that helps me, and also, like, just taking walks and kind of, like, exploring the town.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's not too big, but there's a lot of, like, nooks and crannies that are different to explore. So I've been adventuring out more, and I'm still a little, hesitant because of the language barrier, but, I know my teammates have taught me some things, so I've been learning. But the other big thing is the time difference
Mhm.
because Croatia is 6 hours ahead of Eastern time. So just like finding the time to talk to my people back at home has been a challenge. But since I got that down, I kind of like have a routine now of when I can talk to them. And I know like specific times, like my mom's going to call me when she gets up to get ready for work. And then, like, I talk to my best friend right before I go to sleep because that's when she gets off work. So, kind of just like finding the time to like talk to your people to kind of stay sane has helped me a lot. But it's also been like a huge difference because before I could just call whenever I wanted to because we were in the same time zone. But so, yeah.
To your point, you just mentioned having a schedule and figuring out when you could talk to your family and your friends to keep you sane. Has that been a huge like factor and something that you've been focused on in regards of like, all right, I'm over here. This is completely different. It's not the hustle and bustle. I have to make sure that I'm reaching out to my family and friends to maintain my mental health while being over here.
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge part just because, like I said before, I'm such a family person and I love my people. And, like, I would do anything for them. Um, like the first month, I was like really hard just adjusting to everything. And, like, if it wasn't for my mom and my sister and my best friend, like, I probably would have left and been like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just going to go home. But they were like, "Emma, like, this is something, a goal you wanna achieve, and you're over there, and it's, like, a once in a lifetime experience, like, you need to, stay the first month, see how it is. Once games start, like, you're gonna feel a different type of way," and, like, they encouraged me to go find things to do and, like, come up with new hobbies and everything like that, so they are always improving my mental health, but, like, especially over here, like, just talking to my people has helped me so much, and they continue to encourage me to go do new things, go try new things, like, just soak up everything while I'm here because when am I gonna be living in Croatia again? So, yeah, they've definitely helped a lot.
Now, for our listeners and our viewers that may not know, what is the language that Croatia mainly speaks?
Croatian. So, I couldn't really find it on, like, any, like, Babbel or, like, Duolingo, like, I couldn't find it anywhere. So,
For the team, is there a translator to help you out, or is it more so like your teammates are the in between?
my teammates are the in between. I always have someone next to me who's translating for me,
Hmm.
um, because my coach, he doesn't like to speak English. He knows a little bit. He doesn't know too much, but he he's an older guy. Yeah, the older generation doesn't really speak English, so I always have someone translating for me, and I'm very thankful for them because I don't know what I would do without it.
So, on the court now, you mentioned you already had some games. You went home for Christmas. You're looking forward to the second half. What's been the biggest surprise for you in the game in Croatia? How it's played, how it's refereed, to back at home where you played in college, high school, all of the sort. What do you feel was like the biggest surprise for you? Like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference on the court is just, like, it's not as structured. And I came from at North Florida, we were very structured. We had our plays, like, we ran them every game. Practices were very structured. Everything from practice to, like, what we traveled in was all structured, laid out, everything. And here, it's like we have plays, but it's also kinda like you just have to play off of each other, um, which is fine. You know, we have our 4 round 1, and we have our plays, but it's also you're more encouraged to make the reads instead of going through every option in the play. So it's a lot more like free flow than, college and even high school. Because the high school I went to, we were very structured. We had our plays, we ran them, everything was very structured. So I would say it's a lot more like free flow here on the court, and like we're encouraged to just play basketball instead of running plays. In terms of the refs, I'm glad you mentioned that because the refs are a lot different here, and even like some of their calls are different.
Mm,
So they obviously like they let us play a lot more, um, and they have some different like foul calls and how it's so like we have the technical foul, and that's obviously like two free throws and we get the ball back. But here, a technical foul is one shot and you get the ball back. And they also have something like we have intentional fouls as well, but their intentional fouls, you get two free throws and the ball as well.
mm.
So, yeah, so it's when it first happened, I was like, okay, it's an intentional foul. Like, what's happening? Um, so I had to like learn that. But also, like, another big difference was when they start a game, they go the opposite way on the court. So, like, the first half, we'll play in front of our bench, and the second half, we play in front of the other team's bench on offense. So, like, when I first watched a game, we had like a tournament in Austria, and we got there to watch the game before us, and I was like, hold on, they're going the wrong way. And my teammates were like, no, we go that way to start and the other way to finish. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so weird. I like didn't think that that would be a difference, like one of the differences I would come upon, you know? So that was very interesting to me as well.
Shout out to you for all the adjustments that you've had to learn being over there. How do you feel your season personally has been going so far, and what would be a successful first season overseas for you?
Yeah, so I think a successful season for me would, I guess it would be, gosh, this is a hard question because I'm still like learning a lot over
Hmm.
here and just like how everything goes. Um, but I would say for me, I don't think it would necessarily be like accolades or anything, which would be great. But for me, it's more so like just playing my game and knowing my ability to be the best that I can be. Because, you know, it is hard over here sometimes just because the coaching style is a little different. And like my coach, he's very like he doesn't give out a lot of compliments. He's not very encouraging. He more so just yells a lot, which is fine. You know, I've had coaches who yell a lot, but there's always been you know, another coach to be like, "Hey, it's okay. Like, you know what you need to do now. Like, you got it." But it's really just him.
Mm.
So it's kind of trying to be as positive as I can, and knowing like even if I mess up, like, "Hey, it's okay. Like get the next one or like go get the stop on defense or so it's kind of just like having trying to figure out how to encourage myself within the system, I guess.
Hey,
Yeah.
sometimes that's needed. Where you gotta encourage yourself, where you gotta give yourself a pat on the back, where you gotta
Yeah.
give yourself grace. Um, like you said, you've had coaches like that, and I have coaches like that too. It's good though
Mhm.
that you are this established and you know what to do, because some that could tear
Right.
down their confidence, that could affect their play, but you know exactly what to do from college to now. You said it's a free flow on offense. The coach says, hey, play
Mhm.
off of each other. Would you say your role is different from college versus now being a pro?
Yeah, I think it's the same but it's different because in college, you know, my coach was like, "Hey, I need you to score, I need you to rebound, I need you to set great screens." Okay, I can do that. Here, it's more so score and rebound. I'm not necessarily like going out to set a whole bunch of screens, which is what I did in college. And, you know, I'm fine with that. You know, it opens up somebody on the court. Um, So really here, like anytime I get the ball, he's like, no one can stop you. You need to go score. And so but I'm also a very, how do you say that? I'm a very, like I'm a team player. So if I'm getting doubled, like I'm going to kick it out. Or like if I see someone who's wide open, like I'm going to kick it out. Like I'm not a black hole. I'm not going to every time I get the ball, it's going up. Like I'm gonna see what's out there. Like if I feel like I don't have the best shot, I'm gonna get someone an even better shot. So that's kind of been an adjustment for me because sometimes he gets mad at me when I kick the ball out because he feels that I can score. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, but this person is like wide open. And like they're a great 3-point shooter. So that's like been another adjustment because he wants me to score, score, score. So I'm having to like kind of like change my mindset a little bit, like trying to figure out how I can score more than necessarily like kicking it out every other time or like, seeing an open person and kicking it to them. So that has also been like kind of an adjustment, have like more upping my scoring mentality. So,
I
yeah.
mean, outside looking in, it's the right play. So you kicked it out. That's not a
Yeah.
bad thing, but also kind of speaks to his confidence in you, though, of like, I want you to go
Right.
score. Can't nobody in this league stop you.
Yeah.
And it's just adjusting to that mindset of, hey, they want me to score. I'm gonna go score. So
Right. So, yeah.
for you, right? Um, you're here now. You're overseas. You've accomplished every goal from middle school, high school to college. What would you
Mhm.
tell young Emma about this journey? If you was able to talk to 15-year-old Emma, somehow machine came out, you was able to go back in time. What would you tell young Emma?
I would tell her that everything's gonna be okay as long as you work hard and stay true to yourself. Because a lot of the times I feel in sports in general, like you can lose yourself in a way, and just get like caught up in everything and caught up in social media and there's today and age there's so much you can get caught up in and be pulled into. Um, So I would just tell her that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. You just have to continue to work hard, get your extra work in, and stay true to yourself.
Think we got the title of the episode right there. Stay true to yourself. That's important.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's the aspect of remembering basketball is what I do, not who I am. I have to stay true to me. And more than ever, Larry Bird and Cheryl Miller and all of them, they didn't have to deal with social media. They didn't have to
Yeah.
deal with NIL. They didn't have to deal with all these other things that
Mhm.
are good, but at the same time can be a distraction, can affect your mental health.
Right.
So it's that staying true to yourself, which is important. Fourth quarter segment. You've been
Mhm.
here before. You know this segment, so we're going to have a little fun. You know, I'm a foodie. I eat for four, so I always got to ask about food.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
What has
I
been what has been your best? What has been the best meal or the best thing you've ate being overseas so far?
I would say the best thing I've had, it's a traditional Croatian dish. Um, I have no idea what it's called. The girls just told me that it's like a pretty traditional dish. But they'll have like chicken, like a chicken breast, chicken leg, whatever. But then it's almost their side dish is almost like it kind of reminds me of dumplings in a way, but I think they're made the same, but they're cooked in something different and they're more, I don't want to say stringy, but they're like a different shape, but it's so good and you always eat it with chicken. And, oh, it's, like, one of my favorite things. I've had it where we get our free meals from, and I've also had it from one of my teammates' parents who live in our town. She made it for me a few times, and it's so good. I have no idea what it's called. I'll have to ask someone, but it's so good. And every time we have it, I'm like, "Yes, we're having this again." And the girls are like, "Oh, it's alright," but I love it. It's so good. It's like kinda reminds me of, like, a comfort meal, 'cause,
Mm,
like, I love like, American dumplings and chicken. So, it's, like, almost like a comfort meal, but it's, like, a traditional meal here, and I love it. It's so good. I haven't had anything bad over here yet, so I can't complain, really.
that's probably, because it's traditional to them. They're probably tired of it. Oh, it's okay,
Yeah,
but that definitely sounds like a comfort meal. You talking about chicken and dumplings? That's a
yeah,
comfort food type of meal right there.
it is.
You mentioned earlier, I believe that you
Mhm.
said you guys went to a tournament earlier in the season in Austria. Where's been the favorite place that you have visited, other country that you've seen so far this season?
Yeah, I would say anywhere on the Croatian coast is beautiful. We've been a few times. Obviously, the biggest one is Split. I think, like, when you look up Croatia, Split comes up. Um, but it's a beautiful on the coast. Just, like, the mountains combined with, like, the sea is, like, incredible, and, like, I love the mountains, I love going hiking, but I also love going to the beach, and, I love being by the water, so it's, like, a combination of both. Um, and they've just been, like, beautiful. We've been to Split, Pula, and Šibenik, and we're going to Dubrovnik soon. I know Dubrovnik is another big one because they filmed, oh, what's that show? They filmed Game of Thrones in Dubrovnik, so I'm excited to see that too. But really anywhere on the coast is beautiful. Like, you can't go wrong because it's just, like, mountains and sea and, like, the architecture is beautiful with, like, the old buildings and everything. Um, but yeah, anywhere on the sea we've been has been gorgeous, so
That sound, I could just envision it. I'm gonna go look it up afterwards, see what it looked like, because that sounds
yeah.
really dope. I could imagine what it looks like in person. That sounds really dope. The mountains and the sea. Because I watch travel shows, so I'm sure I've seen it before and didn't know, but
Oh,
definitely gonna look it up after this. We're gonna get you out of here with this question right here. You mentioned earlier that you came home, you brought books. When you came, you brought books. You've been reading a lot of books. What are your three favorite books?
okay, 3 favorite books. I read a lot of, like, fa but also, like, self-help books. I don't like calling them self-help books, but I just need to it's just to better myself.
Mhm.
But I would say number 1 right now is probably Pound the Stone. I read it my last season in college with, my head coach and our associate head coach, along with my other captain. We would get together, like, once a week if we had time, and we would read this book together. And I'm rereading it now. One, it's such a good book. It's not like it tells a story, but also, like, there's the life lessons in the story. Um, but it's also I got it's just, like, such a good book, and I didn't get to take notes in it last time I read it, so this time around, I'm definitely gonna be taking some notes in it. Um, my second favorite book would probably be The Energy Bus.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know who that's by, but it's such a good book, and it helped me so much to, like, keep a consistent energy throughout, like, everything, and it really helped me in college because, um, I was a captain for 2 years, my last 2 years, and it really helped me to, like, be that consistent person for everyone and for the team and, like, in the games, in practice, off the court. So that's really good if you're looking for, like, consistency, keeping a high energy and, like, a high aura all the time. My 3rd book I don't know if you ever heard of this series, but it's called the Badass series, and, it's they have a bunch of different series about, like, habits and like financials and like everything. But they're probably my favorite, like I know it's a series, but my third favorite things to read because it just like it's helped me a lot just to overcome like I'm a huge people pleaser, and I know like that can be an issue sometimes because like I do stuff when I don't want to do them, and that really helped me to like overcome that because I need to keep my peace and not like worry about what other people are thinking or doing, or how I made them upset somehow when really I didn't. So it's helped me just to like find myself as well and become the person I am today. So those have helped me so much. Those three books really helped me, and I like will go back to them and reread them, and they just like help me get grounded and find myself and stick to like the basics of everything that's gotten me to this point in life. So
Stay true to yourself. That those sound
yeah.
like some really good book options for those that missed it early at the beginning. This is Emma Broermann, player for Croatia, professional basketball player. We appreciate you hopping on with us again. We look
Yeah.
forward to the
Thank
next
you.
time we see, maybe we'll have you hop back on when it's your 10th year and you still doing it, averaging 25, 15, and 8, whatever you want to do. So
We'll see.
family, of course, we're supporting. We are extremely ecstatic over here at Bench Mob Ent that you set the goal out, you did it, you're living the dream out. You already know the vibes here.
Mhm.
For our listeners, our viewers, y'all know the vibes here. If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.